So, the Raid World War II beta has come to a close. It's been a wild ride, and if you haven't already, I recommend going back and checking out all of my videos about the beta to get a grasp of my opinions on it. As a quick overview though, I love the game! The characters are fun, the weapons feel generally good to use, the setting's intriguing, and it's just a fun game overall. Of course, considering it runs on the diesel engine and ports a lot of mechanics over from Payday 2, there are bound to be some problems. So, keeping in mind that I overall love the game and plan to make more videos on it, here are some critiques for the Raid World War II beta. Starting with the game options themselves, upon the beta's release, these were severely lacking with a poor FOV slider and no option to disable depth of field. These have both since been added, but I feel as though there are still some missing features on this menu. Hovering over an option should give a small blurb about exactly what that option does and how it might affect performance or visuals, as is the case for most modern titles. Also, please separate view bob and camera acceleration, making them separate options. Currently, disabling camera acceleration will also make your weapon stoically stagnant when walking, which is not a good look in my eyes. However, I don't want to have to enable camera acceleration, that obnoxious camera jolt that occurs when you start sprinting, in order to make my view model move as it ought to. Please separate these settings into a camera acceleration setting and a view bob setting. Another complaint is when playing online, the only place where you can toggle server settings, namely making the game public, private, or friends only, is in the camp. I'd like to be able to change this in-game and in the lobby screen. Speaking of, a way to back out of the screen would be appreciated. I get the idea that you want to prepare yourself entirely before dedicating to starting a raid, but considering that challenge cards aren't decided on until the lobby screen, it may be hard to prepare for what the raid will actually be like in practice. I may decide that I don't want to play Recon on a Total Carnage raid, for instance, but I can't back out of this menu. As a quick side, I'd appreciate it if grenade sounds were disabled entirely on the lobby screen. High-pitched sound warning. There's a bit of a bug where if the player throws a grenade into the preparation zone just before entering it and triggering the lobby screen, the ringing sound will continuously loop until all players ready up. It's really quite annoying. Okay, so let's move on to talking about in-game for a bit, starting with stealth. I overall like the stealth in Raid. It's a nice bit different than Payday. It requires careful planning, good timing, and to strike swiftly when you get your opening. So please, Line Game Lion, do not add suppressors to Raid, at least not in the way that Payday has them. Being able to quietly snipe all the targets in the map would make stealth a mindless venture. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't have any option to quietly eliminate distant targets, but it should be limited and skillful. Throwing knives would be a fine option, seeing as grenades don't find much practical use in stealth. Let's stick to the present though, shall we? When a guard detects you, everyone around him instantly becomes alerted. I feel as though a grace period of, spitballing here, 3/4 of a second before nearby guards become alerted would be ideal. Enough time to kill most enemies with a charged melee attack before they get a chance to ruin your stealth run. I'm not saying that stealth needs to be made far easier, but I often feel cheated out of quiet kills by a guard detecting me for a split second before getting shanked and alerting the entire SS squad. As for the stealth UI, it's overall pretty good. I appreciate guards having separate detection meters and different levels of attention. If a guard sees you for too long, they'll turn towards you and become suspicious without instantly being alerted. This system is great, however, I do have some gripes. The ring effect when a guard is noticing something outside of your field of view is very misleading. All that it tells you is that someone is spotting something somewhere, not even if it's you being spotted or by how much. Here's my suggestion. Guards that are starting to notice you or suspicious objects, namely corpses, should have the same meters as they do now, along with the ring effect when they're outside of your field of view. However, make the ring effect grow in size and change in color based on how suspicious the guard is, turning from white to orange and then to red. On top of this, disregard the ring effect entirely for guards noticing other players. The amount of times I've had this indicator pop up only to spin around and realize it was another raider halfway across the map being detected is too high to count. One should still be able to see how much another player is being detected, but only when the guard is within the observer's field of view, and have the indicator be grayed out to let you know, hey, it's not you who's about to get caught, it's your clumsy friend over there. One last thing about that, there's an annoying legacy Payday 2 bug bug with the indicators. If you're playing as a client as opposed to a host, more often than not, corpses that were killed while becoming suspicious will retain the detection meter over their heads, and it does not go away until the corpse is picked up and placed elsewhere. LGL, please fix. So that's my thoughts on stealth. I'll talk about loud gameplay and my conclusions on the beta as a whole right after the break. Welcome back. So, moving on to loud gameplay, I don't have that many complaints here. It's fun, action-packed, and different enough from Payday 2 thanks to the health and ammo system. However, late into the beta, LGL released a patch that buffed enemy health and weapon damage, mind you, while reducing overall enemy spawns. I and everyone who I've talked to about it agree that this change was for the worse. It gets rid of the fun horde-style combat and makes it feel more like Payday 2's bullet sponge difficulty. A full reversal of this change would be most welcome. Something else that could do with changing are the war cries. The system itself is fantastic, but there are some problems here and there. Recon's war cry is so bad, genuinely awful. I've showcased this in a past video. What it's supposed to do is automatically aim at targets near your crosshair and shoot them in the chest upon pulling the trigger. But more often than not, the shots will simply miss for no reason. I've had a lot of people comment saying that you're supposed to aim down sights to make it work, but not only is that not supposed to be the case, but it doesn't even make sense in the first place. An ability that gives you aimbot should not require that you aim. That's kind of the point of the aimbot. Recon's warcry should simply hit scan enemies that are highlighted by the ability. If an enemy has the red glow, pulling the trigger makes them take damage. Simple as that. On the other end of the spectrum, Assault's warcry is just a bit too good. I feel as though the healing is too potent. Perhaps it should be nerfed a bit, or maybe make it a passive heal. Over the duration of the warcry, it will slowly heal you and your team, and by the time it ends, it will grant the same amount of HP as it does now, just not all at once. In order to avoid breaking it, the proficiency that increases Assault's warcry duration should be replaced with one that makes you drain even less ammo when using the warcry. Maybe that's not a good idea, I don't know. I want to hear your thoughts on how you'd nerf Assault without making it useless. Insurgent's warcry is pretty much fine in my opinion, although a fade-in effect for when enemies become highlighted would be welcome. It would make enemies spawning around a corner that you aren't supposed to see spawn be just a little less jarring. And finally, Demolition's warcry. This one is tricky as it's not inherently bad, just outclassed. Cluster grenades and damage resistance are powerful, and the only way I can think of to improve it without breaking it would be having enemies that die by your cluster grenades be more likely to drop supplies. Does that sound fair to you guys? So moving on to another topic, the weapon challenges. Those of you not in the know, you have to kill enemies in specific ways with specific weapons in order to upgrade them, and higher tier challenges can only be completed when your character is at a higher level. Overall, I don't mind the system. I think it works fine in this kind of game, and I would hardly call the weapons anemic at the start. However, there are certain challenges that simply have to go. I'm talking about the hipfire challenges. Forcing players to actively play against what their instincts tell them to is just bad. I know many of you may only hipfire anyways as a habit from other games, however, forcing players to hipfire hundreds of enemies with a sniper rifle in order to upgrade it is simply inane. The exception to this could be the pistols, as when you're downed you can only hipfire with the pistol anyways. However, hipfire challenges for the primary weapons are simply a bad idea. I would rather see more skill-based challenges that will happen naturally for players who know what they're doing. The headshot kill challenges, for instance, are a great way of doing this. Some suggestions for challenges are kill 30 special enemies, or kill 3 enemies in a single mag 50 times. For the sniper rifle, it could be kill 10 snipers. This is just spitballing. I'd like to hear your ideas for challenges in the comments. While on the subject of weapon challenges and statistics, the bonus rewards at the end of raids are a great addition. They promote trying to be efficient and being a good team player with bonuses like most revives. However, the accuracy bonus needs to be reworked considering the way raid tracks shotgun accuracy. It's the same as in Payday 2 if you didn't know. Hitting 2 enemies with a shotgun blast counts as 200% accuracy, which is why you'll sometimes see players with over 100% accuracy on the end screen. If possible, possible, change the way the game tracks shotgun accuracy to be as it is for all other weapons. If your shot hits something, it's 100% accurate. If it doesn't, it's 0% accurate. This would give the accuracy bonus card to a player who deserves it instead of whoever decided to bring a shotgun. One last thing about the bonuses, could we please get an enemies killed silently bonus for when a raid is completed in stealth? The bonuses are very heavily sided towards loud as of current. Some love for stealth would be appreciated. I wanted to talk about flamers for a hot moment. I honestly think they're balanced just fine, although I wouldn't argue with a little bit more damage fall off at range. However, the big thing that absolutely needs to be changed are their voice lines. They simply need to be louder and play more consistently. So long as I can prepare for a flamer, they're not that hard to deal with. But turning a corner and instantly dying to something I had no way of being aware of is simply unfair. As for the raids themselves, the level design is quite well done. There's a nice bit of cover overall, although hunters and tiger trap could perhaps do with more. Toss some more sandbags and solid walls around. Odin's Fall, while being a well-made and entertaining raid, has some performance issues. My best guess is this stems from portaling and occlusion problems, which could be the fault of the raid's level design. You'll very frequently find yourself in areas where large swaths of the map have to be rendered all at once, without any solid walls to hide unloaded areas behind. If anything could be done about this map's performance, it would be appreciated. And one last thing that I know many people have already talked about, but I'll throw my hat in too, please try to have the first-person animations be updated to accurately represent their models ASAP. Having your hand clip through your weapon's foregrip constantly is just really bad. So that's just about everything. There are a few smaller problems or things that I didn't talk about, either because I know the developers are already aware of them, or there are things that could make more sense or be different on release, such as the drop rate of experience, cosmetics, cards, and gold in loot boxes. This could very well be subject to change, so we'll just have to wait and see. Raid World War II looks promising considering the amount of content slated for release. I've heard some argue that the price point is too high, particularly in Russia where it's higher than anywhere else in the world. Is $40 a bit much? I honestly think so, but it's too late to change now. However, consider that the game costs 10% less to pre-order and is reduced by a further 5% for owners of Payday 2. This brings the price in the States down to $33.99. I'd still argue that $30 flat is the sweet spot for the game, however, an extra $4 is not all that much to ask for. If you're still on the fence, you could wait for the game to release. I'm going to be making plenty of content for Raid World War II in the foreseeable future, and after seeing what the game has in store via my channel, you can decide for yourself whether or not it's worth a purchase. Feel free to subscribe if that sounds like a good plan to you. In my eyes, there seems to be plenty of content, gameplay, and entertainment to be had, outweighing the game's problems. Lion Game Line have proven time and time again during this beta that they are willing to squash bugs, tweak elements, and even overhaul major swaths of the game as soon as problems are revealed. So I'm confident that this team will hear the community's concerns and make Raid World War II a game worth your time and money. Thanks for watching, and take it easy.